happen to think there's a fourth of just regular lotus and relaxed posture. And I happen to think there are many other postures actually, depending on do you know your mind, your body, your channels, your positioning. Because the initial three postures are there to sort of counter hindrances like laxity and anxiety and various other sort of hindrances to pure abiding. So that's why we have these initial postures. And of course, the first one is the Dharmakaya lion's posture. Then you have the Sambhogakaya elephant's posture, and then the Nirmanakaya yogi posture or rishi posture. And since I'm going off memory, I'm really hoping I don't mess you up, all right? If there's anything that I get wrong, please excuse me. But it seems pretty straightforward. So there are also three main objects in Togya that you can use at first or uh, to sustain your practice. And they're not really objects around the third or the fourth vision. So I'm going to also explain my humble interpretation of the four Togya visions. So in the beginning, even though I haven't read this explicitly, but I'm pretty sure this is what is happening. When you squint your eyes and you pull the rays, you're in one of the postures, and I'll go over the postures once. I'll have to get Kitty up because she's in her posture right now. She's in the kitty posture. So, but when you're in one of the postures, let's say the Rishi posture, where you're, well, let's go right into it. I'm so sorry, Kitty. This is very important. So, this is the Rishi posture, where you put your hands like this and you squeeze your legs. Your chest to the legs. And sometimes it's taught that your arms are on top like this. Sometimes they're like this. So this is the Nirmanakaya uh, Rishi posture, the yogi posture. And typically the gaze will fall um, kind of in front of you. And just like you would do in Dzogchen regular meditation. And so you can find your comfort level here and find how it makes your body feel all right and everything like that. And so you leave your gaze like that. And sometimes they say that you're supposed to basically, you can do pulling the light rays, but if your gaze is down, you may want to use a mirror and you'll use either the sun, the moon, or the sky for your gazing practice. You can also use a candle. So you can think of it as sun, moon, candle, or sky. Um, and so let's say I have a candle and I'm looking down like this, and then I squint my eyes and I pull the rays. Well, what that's doing is that's introducing me to the bindus. Now, most of you probably don't have a light source right now, but you can try this afterwards. And when you look down, like when you squint your eyes, within the ray, for some reason, the light ray cuts through and you see the bindus. At first, they're moving. Those bindus are your mind. You're just seeing the activity of your mind. So, depending on what the bindus are doing, it's a reflection of the stability of your mind. Now, it's very important not to look at anything. We don't want to have any focus. We just leave the eyeballs kind of just hanging there in empty space. And we start to perceive with our mind that way. And then, really, the bindus and everything, all this light phenomenon can expose itself. If you're trying to see it, that will be a huge hindrance for you. That's why the awareness practice, the clear light practice, is so important. So you don't even need to do a posture necessarily. but it could be for you to more comfortable to get in one of these. So that's the Nirmanakaya Rishi posture. Then there's the um, the elephant's posture. Well, it's gonna be hard for me to do it, but basically, you lay like this holding your chin, and in this case, uh, in all three cases, whatever your eyes are doing, find your comfort level. If you're looking up, just relax the eyes. If you're pulling rays, then of course you're gonna have to look at the rays. But remember, you can do these without pulling any rays if you already see the bindus. So, and then the feet are pointed with your soles out in this one. And so you may be able to find another one. I can find an image of it for you too. So then, the lion's posture, or I like to think of it as a dog. You cover the channel here in what's called the Vajra fist, and put it in between your feet like this, and then you're sort of staring up like this. Now with the Sambhogakaya posture of the elephant, you can do the side gazing too. You can leave your gaze to the side like this, relax your eyeballs, and let whatever's in your periphery. See, the main Togya really happens in a kind of periphery of your vision, in a mind vision. It's not really anything to do with your eyes. So, as you can tell by my breathing, this all affects your channels and your body, these different postures. And so you'll kind of uh, rest like this. And then I like to put, because I like to use sky gazing. That I think that's the best. After you've pulled the rays, after you've already seen Bindus, sky gazing is really awesome because you can stare at the empty sky. And I don't know if you could do this or not, but if you put your hood on and you get in these postures, and it kind of blocks out any scenery and leaves you only with the sky, and then you're able to really stabilize the bindus. Then you start to stabilize, uh, let them stabilize naturally, just like your mind starts to settle into an ordinary state. The bindus go from moving to then they start to they slow down their movement, and for some of you, you may be able to stabilize a bindu. Now, bindus can look kinds of ways. They can be rainbow orbs. They can be large, small. They can move all types of ways. They can be together in Vajra chains. They can form patterns. When you're further along, they form patterns and they tend to get more uniform. And then, when you're really further along in the third and fourth visions of Togya, you may even see deities or auspicious symbols and things like that, seed syllables, things that mean something to you in your inner mind. So let's say I'm sitting here. Now remember, you can find a posture as a yogi. You can do other postures, ones that work for you. For me, just sitting here and lotus is way more comfortable than the other ones. But I did do the other ones, and I did do pulling the rays, squinting and pulling the rays and seeing the bindus. And then I also did sky gazing, and I still do sky gazing. It's such a powerful practice. It's not really like you're even gazing at the sky. Like I said, you allow your eyeballs to rest, like you let your arms rest, and then within a kind of periphery, the bindus are allowed to do what they want without you interfering. And then actually your body, the perceiver becomes bindus too. You see? So it turns into this kind of blissful, empty clarity. And so, yes, the later on, the bindu, you may be able to stabilize a bindu. It may increase, and you may see things within the bindu. Like typically, people would see Buddhas and all kinds of auspicious imagery, that But that starts to go into the fourth Togyao vision. So in the beginning, the Bindus will be moving. In the second Togyao vision, the Bindus will slow down. In the third, you'll start to stabilize the Bindus to where they're still, and that's a reflection. The Bindus are just your mind. That's just movement of your mind. So then, when it's stable, it may also have to do with some rainbow colors and all these auspicious things that happen. Then in the fourth Togyao vision, it would be ineffability. You just start to, you don't even have words. And who is the one wording it? Where's that? Is that so? It's all truly luminosity then. The reification, the solidity we have here of the elements, the so called elements become the five lamps, the five wisdom lights of your mind that are really just pure cognizance, right? When you go to sleep and you dream, like if you dream of a forest, well, that whole thing is made out of different colors, different shading and images that your mind made. So your mind uses these different mind lights to make images. You see, that's the idea. And of course, your conditioned reality is said to be kind of like a projection to these very thin channels that go up around the ear and to the eye. So from the heart space to the eye, and it's a kind of projection, actually, like a literal projection. And when you start to do the Bindu practice, uh, I think that projection softens, right? And we go into a oneness, a true kind of oneness of luminosity. And all appearances are then seen as the luminosity, the empty appearances of the clear light nature of your mind, which is empty. So everything in union together there. And so, how do you do Togya in our 10-minute meditations then? Well, we would sit here and rest in our clear light awareness and let our experience just be, whether it's thoughts, if you're having a bunch of thoughts, if you feel like crap, if you're mad, if you're happy, just let it be. But also, just like you're letting your anger be, let all appearances be. Let the clear light, all of a sudden you start to notice my mind is everywhere like space, and all appearances are within that, just like the emotion is within your body. Yeah. And then once that luminous aspect starts to reveal itself, this is gradual. It's going to happen over time. You probably can't do it like that unless you have a strong background. But gradually, the luminosity will really, and the emptiness will come to light, and that's known as the pure presence exposing itself. So actually, presence, spontaneous presence, I would say, the spontaneity. And then purity is more associated with Trekcho and um, but that's you don't have to break it down like that. When you rest here in your awareness, especially if you've already done the pulling the rays, you've seen bindus, then everything will start to naturally liberate. We don't want to apply any effort in Dzogchen, especially at this Mengagdi level, high level of practice. So in Togyao, there are the postures and channels and everything that get mixed into it. And I think that's part of just Anu Yoga, the transition, because the eighth yana comes before the ninth yana. And that's where you do a lot of yoga. You work with your winds and channels and um, seed syllables and bindus and things, which are tigle. Bindu and tigle is the same thing. And tigle is Tibetan, bindu is Sanskrit. So then in the beginning, Pena Rinpoche, for example, introduced these postures before Trekcho. And I think that's because it's a kind of pointing out to the true nature of appearances. Is you're leaping over all your obscurations, even though you still have anger, confusion, all this stuff. You're leaping over for a second. You're seeing these bindus, and you're kind of introduced then. And why is all this even important? So we could just sit there and trip out on lights? Yeah, that's cool. But but what's even more important is that once this illusory nature exposes itself through the breakage of our reifications, then all of a sudden you pull out, you're grasping. You're like, "Whoa, why am I so, involved in this? Why am I taking it so serious?" And it becomes more of a play, more of a dance. And this is the main purpose. You're grasping. So that's how liberation happens so swiftly and in such a powerful way because you truly see the empty nature and the spontaneous purity or the spontaneous presence, primordial purity of this mind. Okay, so I think I went through the three postures. I'm sorry I couldn't show them to you. That was always my concern about doing it online. I would have to really reposition everything and so if you do have confusion about that, let's do a one-on-one. I can also grab my Tögal notes and where I sketched out the postures, and we can get those right. I went over the three objects: the sun, moon, the candle, and the sky. And I think I went over the four visions pretty good there. It's a matter of the bindus stabilizing and to gradually they get into very pure visions, right? In the third and fourth visions, this all corresponds with the maturation of your awareness practice. So nobody has to worry. And then what else? I think I went through everything there. The three types of gazing: gaze down for Nirmanakaya, gaze to the side for Sambhogakaya, gaze up for Dharmakaya, and then yeah, how the kayas are associated with the postures. Okay, very good. And then Dorje Singh, here's a good demo of the postures. Oh, very good. Yes, nice. Well, let me inspect. I trust you though. Let's see who's doing this. Oh, very good. You got a Kempo. Yes. Um, Kempo's always pretty trustworthy because they were taught formally. Very good. Okay. And then yeah, and once these auspicious really it gets to a point where ineffability comes in. Luminosity really matures and it's ineffable. So don't get hung up on a lot of these details too much. I know some people are more into it than others. Um, if you're not seeing any bindus, uh, then you may want to try the three postures. If you are seeing them, you could just continue to like when you sit here right now, there could be a kind of clear light in your vision, in your mind's vision, and then within that, there are bindus here now. They're just easier to see in the sky. So if you really want to just disregard Togya altogether and just rest in this clear light awareness, then I think it'll still have resolution. And because we also talk about Togya, so that will benefit everybody. Okay, well, I think it's really that simple, everybody. People make a big fuss out of Togyal, and um, yeah, I don't know why it gets held in higher regard than effortless abiding in the nature of your mind. I think because it's kind of cool how it breaks apart what we know as reality. It gives you some nice evidence that there's something beyond our constructions. So yeah, drop a hit of acid and do some Togyal. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. All right, everybody. Well, that's the end of the Togyao talk. Can you believe it? Pretty much covered it that fast. And I recommend if you get on, if you can get on a retreat with some of these Tibetan lamas, Bhutanese, Nepalese, or other Western, any type of lamas that have done Togyao. Some of the Burn lamas are known to be pretty good with that. If you want to get further into it, in this group, I obviously emphasize effortless abiding and the nature of mind. As far as bindus, I leave that kind of up to you all. If you're working with light rays and bindus, and even if you're doing yoga and working with your channels, winds, and drops, then I leave it up to you and however I can help you, right? I can show you some stuff. There's probably some stuff that I don't know. And in that case, I will point you in a direction. I'll continue to just do whatever I can to support you on this path. All right, so we can end that. Thank you, Yeshi.